Hey guys, I'm here with Jeremy Skinner, who just won his third AGC title. Jeremy is a Polaris veteran, GrappleFest veteran, and had an extremely good performance at the ADCC trials. Jeremy is also a vegetarian, which is not necessarily uncommon in the sport, but certainly not everyone is. So Jeremy, can you tell us a bit about why you're a vegetarian and how, if at all, it affects your performance in Jiu-Jitsu?
Sure. So it was one of those things where it's like, you sort of think about what's actually going into your diet, like not just, not just what the actual food is, but like where it's coming from. But sort of the final straw of me was just I saw like a really grim Facebook video essentially, just like showing like pigs basically lined up for slaughter, and it was just kind of like one of those things where I saw that and I'm like, yeah, you know what, eating meat, not so much for me. So that's when I decided to make like a very deliberate effort to switch to vegetarianism. I think it makes it sound like it's quite extreme and like quite an extreme change to make to your diet. But I think even though philosophically maybe like vegetarianism is much closer to veganism, in practicality like vegetarianism is much closer to a holistic diet. Because really when you eliminate meat from the diet, you probably the biggest thing you end up losing out of your diet is maybe like iron and B12, like, and that's, you get a lot of fortified foods that can sort of make up for that. But anything like other than like the biggest concern is protein. Like it's with a vegetarian diet you can still drink milk. So it's not as radical of a shift to your diet as like people think it would. So it's really easy to sort of keep everything controlled. Like even when I'm weight cutting, for example, like the normal way I think people go is they eat a lot of meat when they're weight cutting to reduce carbs, reducing sodium, etc. But with like vegetarianism, it's like like when I'm cutting weight for a competition, I can just, the main thing we go through is like unsalted, unsweetened peanut butter, which is really really miserable. But like when you're cutting weight like that, no matter what you're eating, you're gonna get sick of it. So so it's like it's not too different, honestly.
Awesome. And Jeremy, you also train with Lachlan and Liv Giles out in Melbourne at Absolute MMA, which is where the infamous Craig Jones is also from. What do you think separates Absolute from the other competition in Australia?
Sure. So Absolute in itself, it was, I guess, like originally when like a lot of the competition like was growing for the Absolute team, like there was Kit originally at the beginning, but then once Lachlan took over the gym, it started to become essentially like it's almost like the Avengers team of like Jiu-Jitsu in Australia. Like it ended up becoming like a lot of grapplers that were coming over to Absolute to train with us. The big thing I think that set us apart is particularly Lachlan's approach to training. Including like a lot of specific training. He spends a lot of time looking at the research behind like learning development. Like recently, like he even did like his own, just sort of like within the gym, like his own independent study, basically on how people, like what's the method that people generally will like learn. I don't know a good way to articulate it, but like a way to like learn things, not necessarily quicker, but like what's the most like efficient way to learn something. And so like he did like a lot of basically like block study on that. And he reads a lot of research on it. I think just generally speaking, his PhD background, like he has a good like understanding on how to read research and also like what he's looking for when he's trying to put these things together. So I think basically Lachlan's approach to training and the fact that he enforces like this style of training is what lends itself well for like competition. For example, we segment a lot of the classes. We do with fundamentals classes, we do like a lot of drilling and then we go straight into rolling. We do a little bit of time spent on specific training. Our intermediate classes, we spend probably less, like we still drill in the intermediate class, but we will then also add in more specific training, which is basically scenario-based training. And then, obviously rolling at the end. And then our advanced classes are pretty much just like a lot of the scenario-based training. And then even then, like when we drill, we do like the different styles of classes. We have like classes that emphasize ADCC. When EBI was still a thing, we also had like a class that was dedicated to like EBI style training. But so at the moment the main focus is a lot of like the ADCC style training. So we do a lot of wrestling rounds, just with the focus of first point score, and like a lot of drilling emphasizing ADCC type scenarios.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again, Jeremy, and we can't wait to see what you do next.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.